everyone, how are you? I'm here to talk about my year in Airbnbs. Yes, you heard that right, 365 days living elsewhere than home. I cannot believe how time flies. It's already been 1 year since I moved out from my Montreal apartment. Last July, after I understood I wanted to leave my job, Pat and I decided we needed to leave our beautiful lease. Our rent was at the time $2,200 per month. I know this is insane. We had the money to pay it, so we weren't really thinking about it. But now that I knew I was going to be super tight on money, we had no choice. We needed to leave this lease. I knew it was going to be hard, but I wanted to do those sacrifices in order to be truly free. Pat was working to develop the Toronto market for his company at the time, and his company was flying him over to Toronto every other week and paying Airbnbs. So that's when we started thinking, does it really make sense if we keep our lease in Montreal and I'm half the time alone in that huge space by myself, and we paid that much money for not even being together all the time? So I figured, well, let's leave the lease. I'm gonna be free anyways. I'll be able to come with you a little bit when you're in Toronto, and the rest of the time I would stay at my parents' place. So without a clear plan at all, I decided to embark in this adventure and really try and live the freedom lifestyle. So today I want to share a little bit about the learnings that this experience brought me. Having lived in my luggage for the past year, I wasn't able to carry a lot of clothing or a lot of stuff in general. So I learned that material is not what defines me anymore. So now I'm no longer attached to any material, and I'm much more interested in growing my learnings, my knowledge, and my experiences, and not focusing so much on building my home or having more stuff to carry around. That was definitely super hard at the beginning. I had always been really a fashionista, so trying to cut that pattern of buying stuff was really hard, and I had to be able to be creative and wear the same clothing over and over again with just little tweaks so it looks amazing every time, but that was super hard. I realized that wearing branded clothing or accessories what was defining me before. And I realized that was completely stupid. And now I changed this whole perception of myself, and I'm now more confident in who I am and not what I own. Getting rid of that bad habit was necessary while living on the road. So now, some questions I ask myself before buying any new item is, do I want to carry this all over town when I switch places? Do I really need that? Or is it just because I want it? Freeing myself of this image I was always trying to keep up with was so liberating. So now I'm proud of the person I am and not of the purse I own. So the second learning I did was to be flexible and not get attached to a specific space. I realized there's no shame in being homeless if you're doing it to be truly free. At first, I was really self-conscious of saying to people that I was living at my parents' place at 27 years old. But then I realized that was freaking smart. I could afford not working and being able to discover myself, take the time to really understand what I wanted without being stressed by payments all the time. We all have so much pressure when we're growing up to buy a house, settle down, have kids, buy more stuff, but I decided I didn't want that pressure and I wasn't going to accept it in my life. So I decided instead to experience what life has to offer for a full year. The third learning I did was to understand that I needed to take advantage of every situation and not be so attached to my comfort. Our Airbnb situation wasn't always perfect, I can tell you that. So one time we had to cook toast in a pan because we didn't have any toaster. I also had to sleep on a couch because the bed was so uncomfortable sometimes. We were super far from fitness centers, so I had a hard time really training and exercising, and that got me really grumpy sometimes. That made me realize how spoiled I've been in my life. It was about time that I realized that. Now that I'm not attached to any physical space, I'm able to take advantage of every moment, and I've learned to deal with a lot of shit. This experience also made me realize how lucky I am to live my life with such an amazing human being that really supports me and is there to make my life so much better and happier. My love for Pat has only been growing because now I know we're able to live together through uncertainties, discomfort, and unknown territories. Overall, I think the best learning I did is to discover there was new perspective on how to live my life. I met so many different people that are living their life on their own terms, and it made me realize all that is available for me out there. We all create our own realities. It's not because we've been doing things in the past the same way that we're stuck in our old ways. We can always reinvent ourselves and create the life we truly want to live. The only thing it takes is courage to make that jump and truly start living life on your own terms. So after staying in 10 different Canadian Airbnbs, spending 2 months in Europe in 5 different other Airbnbs, I'm coming back home to this condo, our condo in Toronto, back for good. Until my new adventure, I guess. So now, how can you apply these learnings into your life without necessarily spending a year in Airbnbs? Try putting aside a set of 10 pieces of clothing and accessories. That includes underwear and necklace and socks and all of it. And try and limit yourself to use only those 10 items in your week. You'll see how creative you'll become, and you're gonna spend so much less time figuring out your outfit every morning. It's amazing. Second thing you can do is to exchange your home with your bestie for a week. You're gonna learn to live in a whole new environment, and you're gonna learn to adapt to this change. You're probably gonna come back and appreciate your own space now. The other thing you can do is to take time to write down what truly makes you happy and you're grateful for in your current home. Just writing them down will help you understand how lucky you are. You're gonna be so much more grateful for it. And lastly, why don't you take time to get to know your neighbor? I know, that sounds crazy, right? I don't know why we never talk to our neighbors. So talk to them and try to understand how they're living their life differently than yours. It's always super surprising to see how different their life can be, even if you're just next door. So that's it. My year in Airbnb is over, and if you have any questions about that, please come to me. I have a shit ton of different stories to talk about.